Hello, Facebook and Instagram world. Benjamin France Music here again with you for Lunchtime Lessons. It is Friday the 10th of March, and wow, believe it or not, this is episode number 5 of this. So we are on our 5th lesson of Guitar 101, basic guitar knowledge, basic guitar habits and information on how to get you started, hopefully quickly playing guitar. So, if you've watched any of the previous episodes, you've noticed that they've went in the past up to about 45 minutes long-ish. Trying to make these a little shorter and a little bit more digestible based on some feedback I've gotten. So I'm aiming for about 15 minutes today. These lessons stream live at 1:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. That is GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, minus 5 hours. So currently it's 1:15 p.m. my time, which means it is 6:15 p.m. on Friday evening GMT. I've got to aim for, like I said, these being about 15 minutes long, and they live stream here on my Facebook page you may be seeing this on, which is facebook.com/BenFranceMusic, or you may be seeing it on Instagram. My Instagram feed is Benjamin France Music, so one or the other. You will see special guest appearances by my cats, like you just saw there. That's weird to do on a camera. But by my cats as they pop up in the background, because they, like cats tend to kind of do their own thing regardless of what's going on in the world or what's going on in their immediate environment. Oh my gosh, excuse me. So, you can follow me on Instagram, Benjamin France Music, on Facebook, facebook.com/BenFranceMusic. Also, these are rebroadcast where I save them and upload them on the Facebook page, so if you miss the live stream, you don't miss out, you can still get back to them. And on my YouTube channel, which if you just search YouTube for Benjamin France Music, it will come up. Like I've mentioned every time for the past week or so, I am also signed up on Twitch now. I haven't started streaming anything on Twitch yet, but the plan is to start doing that shortly here and maybe port some of these over there as well. So maybe another audience will have access to this information and this knowledge. So, that being said, let's dive in and let's get started with today's lesson. First off, like always, we're going to do just a quick review over what we covered last time. And this was going to be quick today because I am, like I said, trying to shave these down to about 15 minutes long to make it where you can have a chance to see these while devoting 45 minutes of your life to watching a lesson. Make it a little bit quicker. So last time we learned our, our 4th chord last time, which was, if I remember correctly, shame on me, I believe the chord we learned last time was the C chord, I think. C major. I apologize, I should have reviewed the previous video. I believe it was our C chord or C major chord. I've said this every time we've talked about chords, but I'll say it again today. C major and C are the same thing. Some basic nomenclature or basic naming of chords when you're talking real basic rudimentary music theory. In Western music, the assumption is if you just call a chord by its letter name, C, A, G, B, so on and so forth, if you just say the name of the letter, then it is a major chord. If it were to be something different, like a minor chord or an augmented chord, we would say something like C augmented or C minor or C diminished or so on. So, C chord last time, we learned that that was the 5 highest pitch strings, string numbers 5 through 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Obviously, that's open strings. How do we play the C chord? That was our ring finger, finger number 3 with the ring on it here. On the 3rd fret of string number 5, that gives us our root note or our first of this chord, which is the C note. We use our middle finger, our naughty finger. We put that on the 2nd fret of string number 4. That gives us our E, which is the 3rd or note 3 in our C chord, the 3rd of C major. We play string number 3, the next one down, which is a G string. We play that one open. We have no fingers on that string. So, 5, 4, 3. String number 2, we put our index finger, our pointer finger, on fret number 1 of the 2nd string. That gives us a B sharp. Or B sharp, technically a C. B sharp, C, C, we'll learn more theory later, but it's the same thing. That gives us another C, which is an octave, 12 steps above this is this. There we go. 12 steps up, 4 on 3, we go up to 15, which is this note. So, C, E, G, C, and we play our highest string, our first string open, which is also an E. That's our E string, our high E. So those 5 together gives us our C major or our C chord. Sounds like that. Pretty common chord in a lot of Western music and a lot of pop music. You'll hear a lot of music will be in the key of C. Not unusual on piano also that things are played in the key of C, because C, if you know anything on piano, and I'm a piano noob, but I know a little bit about it, is that your middle C is kind of the middle note of the keyboard, and you learn everything kind of based off of the key of C, and then it goes from there. So, C major chord, C chord, once again. String 5, ring finger, 3rd fret. String 4, middle finger, 2nd fret. String 3, no fingers, open. String 2, 1st finger, 1st fret. String 1, open, no fingers. Gives us our C chord. We also learned last time about the difference between a major and a minor chord. We learned the theory behind what makes that up, and some practical application. So, if you remember, or if you haven't viewed that video, the difference between what makes a difference, what changes a major chord to a minor chord when you're talking a triad, which means a chord with 3 notes in it. In this one, keep in mind C, E, G. There are 3 notes. If you take your 3rd, which in this case is the E, and remember we said our 3rd is counting up from whatever our root note is. So if C is our root, that's 1. 2 would be D. 3 would be E. So in this chord, C is 1, skip D because we don't have 1 in it, then E is our 3rd, and then G is our 5th. So we go C, D, E, F, G. C is our 1st, E is our 3rd, G is our 5th. To convert a major chord into a minor chord, your 3rd, in this case that E, gets lowered by 1/2 step or 1 fret. So in this case, it would get lowered down to an E flat. Now, you won't typically see, and we talked about this last time, a C major chord or C minor chord played in this first position. It's not real common because the fingering's a little weird, but it sounds like this. Just you can hear the difference. C major sounds like this. C minor sounds like this. That difference is this note. Okay, so that brings us up to speed with what we learned last time. I'm watching our time. We are about 8 minutes in now. So today we're going to learn a new chord. We're going to learn the last of our 5 basic chords that are kind of make up the basic system where you can start playing songs. What a lot of people refer to as what's called the caged system of learning guitar. Caged, what that means, it's based on your chords. So what have we learned so far? We've learned C, we just talked about. Very first episode, we learned an A. We learned an A major. And then last time we learned that we can make that into an A minor by once again lowering the 3rd. Refer to video number 4 if you did not see that. Okay. We're going to skip the G for now because that's our new chord for today. We've already learned E or E major. And we learned how to change that to modify that to, modify that to an E minor. And we've learned D already, which is D major, this guy. And last time we learned, once again, by lowering the 3rd 1 fret, how to change that to a D minor. Okay, so now we skipped one there. Well, we just spelled the C-A-E-D. Cade. K-ed? Ked? Key, the English language is really messy, so I'm not sure how you pronounce that. So what are we missing? We're missing G. G is going to be one of the biggest stretch chords for someone just learning how to play guitar because the fingering on it, you're fingering across all 6 strings, all the way across the fretboard from the thickest string to the thinnest string. So, what makes up the notes of a G major or a G chord? Well, let's apply the theory that we've learned already. If we're saying that it's a G chord, what will be our root note or what will be our very first note? That will be a G. If we're playing a G chord in the first open position, meaning the first way to construct this chord, and open position meaning that we're at the lower end of the frets where we're using open strings as well, lower end of the neck, closer to the headstock, this piece up here. Our lowest G we're going to have is this guy here. This is the 3rd fret on the 6th string, the one closest to your head, which is the lowest frequency string. Lowest pitch string is our E. So if we count up, 2 would be an F. This is an F. Our next whole step, and this is more theory we're going to learn as we go on, our next whole step, we go up 2 frets. We learned that last time. So 1, 2, that's a G. So fret number 3, the first dot on almost every guitar, on the majority of them, is your G. You're going to want to play that G with your second finger. So let me get in here close where you can see it. So you don't want to do this because you're going to use that for something else you'll see here in a minute. You want to take your second finger, your middle finger, you want to put that on fret number 3, and remember when I say fret that, you go between the space on this second piece of metal and this third piece of metal. That is where we say fret, in that space is what we mean. So you take your middle finger, you fret number 3 on string number 6. That gives us our G, that's our root note. You take your index finger, finger number 1, you put that on the second fret of string number 5. That is this note. That gives us a B. So we've got G and B. Now, what did we just talk about a couple minutes ago? We talked about what a third was. So let's count up together. If our root note is G, 2 would be A, which we have an A string. Remember, string number 5, without any fingers on it, is an A. So one whole step above that, and one step, remember, is 2 frets, is a B. Is the B note. Sorry, saying A, B sounds a little confusing. Is the B note. So we have third finger, or second finger, middle finger, third fret of string number 6. We have index finger, second fret of string number 5. That is our root, or our one note, a G, and our third, a B. So the next thing we have is we have the next string, string number 4, open with no fingers on it. If you remember from one of our earlier lessons, that's a D. So G, B, and D. D, if you'll count me, what note is that? So far we've been talking about triads. What did we say? We said triads are made up of 3 notes. A basic chord is a triad chord made up of 3 notes. The 1 note, or the first, the third note, or the 3, and, if you remember, the 5, the 5th. So if G is our first, then we'd have A, B would be our third, C, and D would be our 5th. So we play the open string number 4, which is a D string. That gives us our 5th. So there's our triad. 1, 3, 5. Now, with an open D chord like this, we also can play additional notes to make it sound fuller. That sounds full, but it's a little bit dull sounding. There's no brightness to it. So, if we look at our other strings, what do we have here? The next string down, string number 3, if you remember, is also a G. So that's the same note, only an octave higher, 12 steps higher, as this. And once again, to prove it, if we're on 2, or if we're on 3 here, let's go up to 15, 12 steps higher is that note. Not perfectly in tune right now. I'm going to fix that, but we're close. So we can do root, third, 5th, and string number 3 open. It gives us another G. We also can do our next string, string number 2. Remember, that string is a B. So if we play that with no fingers on string number 2, that's a B. Where else did we have a B? A B was our third. So here and here. Those are also 12 steps apart. We're on 2. If we go up to 14, and here's a tip on how you can do that really quickly to start learning the fretboard. These 2 dots here, that's fret number 12. So if we're on 2 here, we just start counting over on the 2 dots. So that would be number 12, which means 2 here would be 14. And if you listen to that note, once again, not perfectly in tune, but that's the same note. So, once again, middle finger, 3rd fret, string 6. Index, that's our root, our G. First finger, 2nd fret, string 5. That's a B, that's our 3rd. We play string number 4, our D string open. We play string number 3, our G string open, because that's just an octave of our root note in this chord. G, B, D, G, B again, 2nd string open. And you can take your pinky or your third finger, whatever's more comfortable. I'd recommend your pinky, and we'll get into more why later. And you put that on fret number 3 of your highest string, of your other E string. Because remember, this string, your lowest, your 6th string, and your highest string, string number 1, they're both in E. They are 2 octaves apart. Meaning that this note is the same thing as this, only 2 octaves. Remember we said an octave is 12 steps. Hey, thank you for joining on there. I'm Green. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. Thanks for joining the live stream here on Instagram. So, if this is our E string, 12 steps up would be here. And then 12 more would be our 24 is this note. So, once again, you take your pinky, you put that on fret number 3 of that highest string. That's the same thing as this, only technically 2 octaves higher, but it's the same note. They're both G's. So let's go back through that again. For your G major chord or your G chord, your 6th string, your thickest, lowest string, closest to your head, middle finger on fret number 3. There between the 2nd and the 3rd metal bars or fret wires. Take your index finger on fret number 2 of string number 5. That gives us our B note. That is our 3rd, G, B. We play string number 4 open because it is a D string. That is our 5th. We play string number 3, our G string, also open with no fingers on it because that is another G. That's just an octave of our first note. We play string number 2, our B string, also with no fingers on it. That's another B, so that's an octave of this note, of our 3rd. And finally, we take our pinky and we put that on fret number 3 of the 1st string, of the highest string, and that gives us a G, which is a double octave, or 2 octaves above our root note. So, G chord. So, that one's a little bit of a stretch when you're first starting to learn how to play as far as the reach for those. So that may take a little bit. Take your time on it. Like we said last time, you don't need to rush through anything on this. This is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's going to take you a while to get comfortable with these fingerings. It's going to take you a while to get strength built up in your fingers. It's going to take you a while to get those calluses built there on your fingertips so your fingers don't hurt and hate you so much and scream at you when you're playing, when you're pushing these tiny little wires called guitar strings into the tips of your fingers. So, G chord again. Practice strumming that a few times. Obviously, you don't normally strum up here on the neck. I'm just doing that so you can see my right hand. We'll scoot back a little bit. So there's our G chord again. So now we have technically learned the caged system when it comes to chords. We have learned our C chord. We learned that last time, which is this guy. Made up of the root of C, the 3rd of an E, the 5th of a G, then a C again and an E again. We learned our A chord way back on episode 1, which is here, A major, which is made up of our open 5th string A, our E on string number 4, our octave A on string number 3, our C sharp on string number 2, which is all, those are all on the 2nd fret, and then our E open on the highest string. So C, A. We learned today G, which once again G is made up of G on our 6th string, which is fret number 3, B, fret number 2 on string number 5, then string number 4 is a D, is open. String number 3 is a G, is open. String number 2 is a B note, that's open. And string number 1 on the 3rd fret with our pinky, that's another G. So there's C, A, G. We learned E a few lessons ago, which this is E major, is this. Made up of our low E string with no fingers on it. Fret number 2 with our middle finger on string number 5, which is a B. String number 4 with our ring finger also on fret number 2 for that string. That gives us another E. And string number, or finger number 1 on string number 3 on the first fret. That gives us a G sharp. Then string number 2 open, that gives us another B. And string number 1 open, that gives us another E. So C, A, G, E. And we did learn the D chord, I believe, about 2 lessons ago on episode 3, which was string number 4, the D string, open. String number 3 with your middle finger on fret number 2. That gives us an A, which is the 5th of this chord. String number 2 with your ring finger on fret number 3. So the second string from the bottom, ring finger on fret number 3. That gives you a D. So that's an octave or 12 steps above this. And then finger number 1 on fret number 2 of our highest string. That gives us an F sharp, which is our 3rd in D major, or in a standard D chord. So caged, C-A-G-E-D, C-A-G-E-D. So we now have 5 chords in our repertoire. That is very, very, honestly, for a lot of pop music and a lot of Western music, that is enough chords to make up plenty of songs. Now, if you put them in different variations, if you play them in different rhythms, different strumming patterns, you can do things like That's probably one of the most common used / maybe sometimes overused chord progressions in a ballad within the past 30-35 years that you'll probably hear in rock music and popular music. That's G to C to G to C, then going up to the D, adds a little more lift to it, and then back down to the C. And then it's not unusual then for things like the bridge of a song. The song I'm thinking of is Gotta Take Me Back Again in Years Once Again. It's a song by a band called Skid Row from the late 1980s, what was called hair metal, hair bands. And the bridge of that song stays in the same key of G. They go up to the A. They actually play an A minor, so remember we talked about last time A minor is this instead of this. So they go to A minor, and then an E minor. Alright folks, so that is our chord for the day, our G major or G chord. Remember, once again, you can turn that into a minor chord by taking your 3rd, your B note, and lowering that 1/2 a step to B flat. That's going to be a very weird, ugly fingering in this open position, but you technically can do that. Alright, so as always, if you have any questions about anything we've talked about, you need more explanation, feel free to hit me up, DM me, send me a private message, comment on these videos, email me. You're welcome to email me, benjaminfrancemusic@gmail.com. Like I said, every time we've done these lessons, I want these to be as helpful, and I want this to be something that's very useful to everybody out there, and that helps you learn to start mastering this guy here, start mastering the guitar, start learning what to do where you can start making up your own songs. And like I said, once you get these chords down, these 5 basic chords, It's about endless what you can do with them. A little Soundgarden for you, circa 1997-ish. Blow Up the Outside World. And what are we playing there? We're just playing an E major, or our E chord that we've learned, and C major, or our C chord. So, like I said, as always, feel free to hit me up if you have any questions about this. I do live stream these lessons Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at 1:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's GMT, only -5 hours, so 5 hours behind Greenwich Mean Time. As I said at the front end of this, also these do get posted up and saved on my Facebook page and on my YouTube channel as well. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/BenFranceMusic. You may be watching this on Facebook. If you're watching it on Instagram, that's how you get to my Facebook. If you're watching on Facebook and you want to find me on Instagram, I am just Benjamin France Music on Instagram. And they go on my YouTube channel. If you search YouTube for Benjamin France Music, you'll find me there as well. As always, hope everybody's staying safe out there. I hope these lessons are useful to you. And hit me up if you want to. I'd love to see somebody throw something up on Instagram where they have taught themselves one of these chords. For those of you out there that I'm friends with, they're talking about wanting to learn to play guitar, learn basics. Now is your chance. Throw yourself a video up of playing one of these chords and tag me in it. I would love to see that people are using this knowledge. Also, as I mentioned before, once this whole COVID-19 thing does get a little bit more back to normal, I am going to be offering lessons, private lessons, one-on-one. So if anybody's interested in something like that, feel free to reach out to me and let me know. But that is not going to stop these live stream free lessons from happening. The only time these may take a break is if the world goes back to normal enough that I am working from my office for the day job, because it would be hard to have this whole setup if I'm not at home. But we'll see what that happens when we cross that bridge. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Take care, and I will see you again on Monday the 13th for episode number 6 of Lunchtime Lessons Guitar 101.